welcome to another episode of Adventures of a Wallflower with JD Morgan. I am your host, JD Morgan. Episode 4, Monologue of a Broken Heart. I know it's been a while. It's been approximately 2 weeks. We're a bit late with this episode, but life has been happening. Life has been lifing. And so I get up on this Sunday morning, let me get this out of the way before it takes me now another 2 weeks to complete and before things start to get hectic again. Right, so let's dive into it. I will start off with my story. So back in 2014, 2015 thereabout, I was in a little situation, you could say. Yeah? And it was long distance as well. I had now moved back to Trinidad from Jamaica. And yeah, I was involved with someone in a sense. I don't know if you really say it like that, but in any case, basically a person wanted that for the time off when they literally reached out back to me to actually confirm what my suspicions already. They would basically have the other person's home condemned dinner. I'm like, this is crazy. You called me to confirm this when you could have confirmed that 30 days ago because I suspected that much. I mean, we're a distance away anyway. And then you also hope that we become friends after that. So after you make sure and secure your relationship or whatever you call that, you want to now be friends with me? That'll be half. But who knows? I took it normal. I moved on. Never interacted with that person again. Never see the point in doing that. Yeah, and by the way, none of my plans are about that person. Never been. So, yeah. Just a lesson in life. I was never supposed to be a relationship at that point anyway, so things happen sometimes. And if my story seem a bit disjoint, it's because now that I'm speaking it again, I'm like, do I really need or should I even say anything about it? I guess I just wanted to get the point across that it was just so weird for someone to give you a call to discuss something about whatever type of relationship it might be while they're at the next person's home and preparing a meal for them. Just seemed very, that's selfish. Then you're gonna say you love the person or something like that. That just seemed off to me. Right, so I also chose this episode to talk about relationships and love in particular because my birthday was recently in December 1st. One of the first things my family members and even friends talk about is we hope you meet someone or have someone for the new year. And that in itself has always been one of my desires, not because I've gotten hurt or disrespected in the past by a woman or anybody that I've been interested in, means that I'm going to turn myself into a cold-hearted person and be like, women are bad, stuff like that. Doesn't make sense to me because I know that in truth there are good people. There are people worth being in a relationship. I just have to find that person and be aware when I do find that person. So that takes me back to remembering a few things in the past, especially in university, because there was definitely a few people, even one in particular, that something was meant to happen, but because of the way that I was so oblivious, apparently I've been told I'm good with, starting conversations, going through, but to close the deal, I haven't been so great. So forgive me for all the arts that I could have molded. Apparently I was just too oblivious. And probably still am as well. You never really know how much you self-sabotage yourself into getting into relationships, friendships. Well, any type of relationship, friendships, romantic. The thing is, most of us have had some bad experiences with romantic relationships, especially because this is what the main topic of this podcast is about. And in all my dealings, if I've ever been wronged, disrespected, I've never been like, hey, women are terrible. You're the devil. You know, no. The thing is, you have good and bad people in this world. A good amount of people are just for themselves, very selfish. They won't think about how things affect you or anybody else. And then you have a good amount of people that are good as well. Most likely, as I said, I just might have not met that person for me, relationship wise. Or rather, I believe I actually met her a couple times. Want to be with people, but just a matter of how or where my frame of mind was. Maybe I've been oblivious. I'm still oblivious. Sometimes it's like I feel somebody has to bring me back to like, you're like, it seems like you're daydreaming, but you have to jolt you back to reality, so to speak, to be in the moment. So sometimes people have to be blunt with me, especially if you like me. You have to say that. And I myself should say that more often, if I haven't. Yes. But back to the point in the regard of not hating a whole gender or anybody or just like staying far away from relationships. I think we just need to be more cautious in the people we entertain, right? Because every experience is a learning experience. And certain experience we definitely do not need to actually live through because others have been through it. And we could take their, lived experience, analyze it. Is that making sense for me? No, no, no. It's not making sense for me. All right. This bit is making sense. I could try to apply it in my life. And that's generally how we should be living life because, a lot of people have come before us. They tried many different things. I know some people think, hey, this will never happen to me. And most likely it will happen to you. And in this life, what I've learned actually is that anything and everything will happen to you. There are things that are avoidable because you like see them, but you think, hey, nothing bad is going to happen if I do this the way that person was doing. But clearly, many people come before and like, yeah, and it's horrible for them. You think you'll be the exception. That's when life will humble you, teach you. You're not the exception. But, things, I think we need to look for character in people first before we commit to them. And then obviously the whole economic status and that type of thing should follow or could follow. But in a sense, everybody is not the same. So we're not ever going to actually look for the exact same thing in everybody. And we shouldn't because we're all unique individuals. We're very similar, but different at the same time. But one thing we should definitely pay attention to first is character. And not just because somebody has money means that they're good, or even if they're spending money means that they're good. A clock is a clock that is not working properly is right twice a day. And I will take a pause on this particular subject right now. I hope to keep these podcasts short and somewhat sweet. I know I'm a bit calm, but everybody have their embarrassing stories and we have our embarrassing bits and not so proud moments. And maybe you'll learn from my little stories. Maybe not, but sometimes it's good to speak out, right? And I just want to say welcome to my new listeners and repeat listeners. I hope you've enjoyed this episode and the previous episodes as well, as we share bits of ourselves with each other. Well, mainly me, but I hope if you do see me in person, do not be afraid to talk to me. I mean, I know I'm quiet. After all, this podcast is called Adventures of a Wallflower, so I tend to sit back initially in my environments until I'm warmed up and I will speak a bit more. But I'm generally mostly quiet, but if spoken to, I will speak to you as well. I will put in the effort. And if I do not remember your name, please remind me. Sometimes I even forget to ask, but you can remind me. I'll try my best to remember because I only tend to remember names if I've called them a lot. If I don't call them, I will not remember them. So my apologies if that has ever happened to you and I'm not calling him and not remembered to call him, but I'm still grateful for meeting any and everybody that I've met, especially if they are truly good soul. When will I be free? Free from the stage, free from the rage that keeps blinding me that I can see my way. And Poetry Corner, my poem entitled Thank Yous and Many Thanks Later. Time just keeps on ticking while my mind talking away, a heart filled with unmet desires, lost in the forest of Boreal. Stuck in a sand that sinks quick. I wish my hand were just as quick. That moment I brushed your hair. Now it's too late to come up for here. Thank you, and many thanks later. I hold on to what's there. Found it in your eyes, I swear. Like the sun, your smile shared warmth. Sweet and tart, it's just summer's truth. Now it's fall, and I just might have lost my way. A burn so slow, it might have killed the spark. Twists and turns, the grooves in my gears just don't turn the same anymore. Going back in time, learned I never did. Vision 2024 and I'm still blind. Be sure to get your copy of The Silent Love, a collection of thoughts and imagery conveyed through words, at Balboa Press Bookstore, Amazon, Apple Book, Barnes & Noble, Everand, and other major online bookstores worldwide. Additionally, my book is available ebook format, paperbook, and hardcover. And for those located in Trinidad and Tobago, the paperback is available at Scribbles and Quills in Chaguanas and the Barrow Bookstore in Couva. And for my other socials, you can check out my website at www.jd-morgan.com and Instagram page with handle j.d.morgan _writes. As well as on Facebook, you could search for the profile j.d.morgan. And I am also on TikTok as j.d.morgan_writes. And if you read my book, kindly go to Goodreads and search for my author name or the book itself and give a review, a very honest review. Thank you. And that's the end of this episode. Thanks to you all for tuning in this week, and I hope to see you next week on another episode of Adventures of a Wallflower with myself, J.D. Morgan. Thank you.